Good afternoon. Good afternoon, family. I'm Curtis Cheatham Jr., and welcome to This Week in Black America. And here's a rundown of this past week's highlights. The mayor of New Jersey's largest city was arrested by someone claiming to be ICE officials, while the city mourns the loss of its longest serving mayor. We'll get into that. The U.S. Supreme Court has begun hearing arguments to restrict birthright citizenship. What that means to you, we'll go into it as well. China and the U.S. have paused tariffs and reportedly reached a trade deal. Get into those details. And of course, the first wave of South African refugees, who just happen to be white, arrived in the U.S. this week. And we'll discuss that and its implications and more. All of that on This Week in Black America. So happy to have my brother with me. Brother Deshaun, how are you today, brother?
I'm wonderful. Always pleasure to be with you. Pleasure to get a chance to interact with the folks, catch up on the week's events. If you are busy throughout the week, like most of us, and you don't have the chance to kind of stay on top of what's happening, we are your source for unfiltered, independent updates. So if you're going to hang out with us, we ask you hit the like button. It helps the algorithm know that what we're doing here matters. The conversation is important. If you have not already, join the community by hitting the subscribe button. We are live on the Brother Deshaun Facebook channel, but we're also live from the Hello Black America YouTube channel. And we're here every Friday, 12 noon, same time. And my man Curtis, you let's get it started, man. Let's where do we want to start this week?
Well, listen, I guess we have to start with what was going on, like pretty much after we got off the air last week. We're here in New Jersey, of course, and shortly after we got off the air, I think you hit me up like, check the WhatsApp, see what's going on. Apparently, the current mayor of the city of Newark, Ras Baraka, who is also, if you didn't know, a gubernatorial candidate for the Democratic nomination in New Jersey, was arrested last Friday as he was inspecting a contracted ICE facility in the city of Newark. And it was not the first time he's been there. There were a couple other Congress people there. And as the reports go, they didn't really mess with anybody else, but they actually did arrest the mayor of Newark. They detained him for, I think, 4 or 5 hours before letting him go. First of all, brother, what are your initial thoughts? I know you're a Essex County kind of dude, so you're probably more familiar with this maybe even than I am. But what are your thoughts on the mayor of Newark getting hauled away?
What is happening right now? Well, that's my first thought.
Okay.
But, to go deeper, some of you may have heard, I think it was the day after Inauguration Day, or maybe the second day.
Mm-hmm.
He was the first national case of ICE encountering someone who, wasn't, basically they went into I believe it was a restaurant. There was a military person there, a veteran, and he did not have his credentials on him at the time. Well, no, he had them. They didn't believe him.
They didn't believe him, right?
They didn't believe him.
Like you faked them because you knew we were going to be here today. So you faked these. Yeah. Okay.
Like, yeah, we faking military credentials So he was vocal then because Newark is a sanctuary city.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we see 4 months later, he's still standing very firm on his beliefs, but now it has, and when you consider Tom Homan, who is he runs the division of ICE, he said very clearly, anybody. So if you are living and you have a body, you're anybody who tries to impede or hinder ICE from doing what we need to do is going to face this type of consequence. And we saw it, Curtis. We reported, 3 weeks ago that they arrested that judge.
That judge in Wisconsin. Yep. Absolutely.
So, again, what is happening? And I've never seen anything like this before. And I don't know how to react, quite honestly. I mean, what are you thinking? And
I along the same lines, I don't think anybody who lived in this country that's alive now has seen anything like what we're seeing these days. The erosion of rights, the everything that the Republicans said that they were fearful that the Democrats were going to do to them, we're actually seeing them do. The retribution, the weaponization of the legal system or the justice system, and really being very vindictive in the way that they're carrying out their duties. And now we don't know all the details about what exactly happened with this particular arrest, but what we do know is that there were people out there for like an hour or more before Ras Baraka was arrested. So why did they wait for like the top guy to arrive to actually take him into custody? It just seems like a bit of a stunt. I don't know what the cause would be, but it seems like it's some sort of stunt on whoever the powers that be are that are pulling the strings here. It seemed like a stunt to me. And I don't know what the end goal could be there, other than maybe embarrassing the mayor. Frankly, I'm not sure that it was embarrassing. It might have actually helped him politically, I think. I actually told my wife that when it was happening. I'm like, I think this might actually help him in his gubernatorial run. Not necessarily get into the politics piece of it, but that's got to be a component, right? I mean, he's a politician.
Any publicity is good publicity.
that's what it is.
That's the old saying, right?
Exactly. So yeah.
If you didn't know Ras Baraka's name,
everybody knows it now.
Last Friday, yep, you know Ras Baraka's name now.
Yes, indeed. Everybody knows who he is. Name recognition is huge, and in a gubernatorial primary, a Democratic primary in the state of New Jersey. Although we do have our, we flipped a few times. We got Christie and Governor Whitman and Tom Kaine. So every now and again, the Republican head of New Jersey will show itself. But pretty much if you're a Democratic candidate in the state of New Jersey, it usually bodes well for your chances in the general primary. So I think this is great name recognition. There is something else going on there in the background. We should definitely be aware of that because something's happening. And
now has he? Let's just as of this article was as of the 9th, but he's since been released.
Right. The same night.
Yeah, it's released the same night. Are there any pending charges?
Yes. Now that's the thing. I heard him do an interview on the Monday morning following this, and he's still got to go to court. He's got a court date, like anybody else that you get some kind of a citation. He's actually got to go to court. So they're playing this whole thing out. He's actually got to show up in court, explain what happened to a judge, and get the whole matter adjudicated. So, yeah.
It says here, trespassing.
Yep.
Misdemeanor offense, but
it's a misdemeanor. The whole thing is a misdemeanor.
Trespassing, huh? That's what.
Now, how is the mayor trespassing on any property in the city of Newark when he's there in his official capacity as mayor? Anyway.
Yeah, it says here. It says here that and this article is as of yesterday. Ras Baraka, mayor of the largest city and Democratic candidate for governor, said a trespassing charge against him was silly, petty. Sounds like it.
All that.
After he appeared in federal court Thursday morning. The charge which came after he tried to tour a federal immigration detention facility in his city, but
Mhm.
was arrested by federal agents during a scrum that involved 3 members of Congress, continues to be higher profile than the typical single misdemeanor case would be.
Yeah, you would think so, right?
We're going to make an example out of you, public spectacle.
Yep.
And I think, do you think this? And I'm curious, as you know, we always, after a couple minutes, we get some of our co-hosts to check in. Thank you for those who are watching. You other shows may call you viewers, but as you tap in, we attract the best people here with the most free-thinking, critical thoughts, and so that's why we call you our co-host. So we're curious what you guys think about this. We asked, do you agree, first of all, that Ras Baraka should have been arrested? And do you think, Curtis, this will dissuade people? Because I think that could be a part of why they're running it like this, just to dissuade interference. Like, if I'm thinking about interfering,
Mhm.
let me realize that I might end up in cuffs. I might end up in prison. Does this dissuade people from wanting to step up, you think? Do we see less people taking a stand like this? What do you think? Or you think this like, no, well, this is par for the course?
Well, I gotta admit, I having some kind of feelings when I saw the news coverage, and frankly, I'll just be fully transparent. When I saw how many black folks were out there protesting the arrest of Ras, I was like, what are we doing? Because it seems like
Y'all ain't
this
get the
is kind of
memo?
this is a setup, right? This is a setup where they're trying to get us out there so they can pull the switch talking about they're being lawless. They're rioting in the streets. If we had, I this is just my personal opinion.
Mhm.
I think that if we saw the same type of protest activity today with this current administration as we saw 5 years ago during the George Floyd time, I think that we would see a very different reaction.
Mm.
And in this environment, I think we would see federal troops dispatched, perhaps even the martial law being declared. And I think that they're really actually trying to set up a set of circumstances where black folks respond and erupt, so to speak. And that's when that'll be their the trigger that allows them to say, the black folks, they won't say black folks, but they'll just say they're going wild. they're
rioting in the streets.
They're rioting in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
So
peaceful protest. We could be peacefully protesting. It's a riot.
Yeah.
Just like three people walking down the street, 3 black guys is, 3 white guys is, group of white guys, 3 black guys, it's a posse.
Three white guys, they're chums. They're chums just walking down the street together. And of course, three black people, that's a gang.
That's right. So nothing we do looks the same, which is why, Curtis and I have been very vocal in telling everyone, and I think, there's millions of us telling this. We got to stand down. Yeah. This is the time to stand down. Let these people who want to destroy things and fight for things and shoot up things, let them do it. Because just as we saw on January 6th, when they do it, it's a different reaction. Right. It's not, blood in the streets when they do it. It's
right.
Now it's,
it's a kinder, gentler response.
100%.
when they are out there.
As Curtis said, we start to peacefully march. We start to peacefully stand up for what used to be the rights, or the rights we thought we had, that we start to do that stuff. We're just not going to be taken. It may not work out like it used to, as Curtis said, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. It may not look the same. And
in the words of that great philosopher from the Bronx, yesterday's prices are not today's prices.
Come on.
So if you can't see the parallel there, work on that. But kind of related, story number 5 here. I don't know if I think you've got it there. This is just a quick hitter, though. Jamal Bryant, the pastor, the faith leader down in Atlanta area, he was the one that started this Target boycott initially, meaning that we weren't going to spend a 40-day fast, is what he called it.
He started it?
Yes, he was the one that initially called for a fast on Target, and just something that came up to me during the week. He's doing another protest on May 25th outside of Target. I think it's at noon at Target for 9 minutes, and he's calling for people to get outside of Target and pray, actually, for 9 minutes. The 9 minutes, the significance of it is parallel to the Derek Chauvin killing George Floyd by kneeling on his neck for 9 minutes. So he's linking those two together, and he's asking people to respond to their local targets. He's asking for them to give information about where they're going to be doing this, and of course, they're going to be doing it out in the Atlanta area. I forgot the exact target that they're going to be gathering outside, but if you check out Pastor Jamal Bryant's page or something, you should see some information. So that's a little over a week from now that they're planning to do that. But it always worries me when we start talking about protests in this day and time, like physical protests out in the streets, because I do believe that that at some point this administration could use it as a pretext to initiate violence on our people, and I don't want to see that happen, for sure.
Well, I love that it's a call to pray,
right?
Because I was speaking with a friend of ours, Rabbi Hoshua Mariel, and what I said is, when the heat turns up, first of all, let us know, are you anywhere near, anyone watching, are you anywhere near Pastor Jamal Bryant? Would you participate in praying outside of Target? But I said, if we're going to do anything, we need to be praying. Amen. Because there is going to come a time where it's time for us to come out. It's time for us to come outside. And it's going to be because there's going to be a reason. We can sit here all day and be like, hey, hold back the truth. Nobody throw no hands. Nobody don't do. Bow. That's the war start. Somebody draws first blood. It could be from the side that is righteous. It could be from the evil side. But you can't stop something that's inevitable. You could just try to hold it back, and then once it starts, and we see the results, now we're going to have to come outside. And because it could get that bad. And again, we're just assuming worst case scenario here. When you come outside, though, the protesting is not what I'm not protesting.
Right.
But I will meet you and pray with. I will meet a group of people who say we need to pray now. This is hell breaking loose. I will meet you. And I think there needs to be a clear difference. So I like that Pastor Jamal Bryant is saying, hey, call to prayer.
Right.
It's just as long as it doesn't start out as a prayer and turn to a protest.
Well, keep in mind, and I don't even think we actually even discussed this, but a couple weeks back, what's his name in North Carolina, the pastor, big dude, he was taken away for praying. He was actually arrested for praying.
The gentleman that was in the Bad Faith movie. Not him. Big guy.
Yeah, the big. Oh, what's his name?
He's always involved in the
yes,
politics. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on the brother's name right now. Maybe our co-host will shoot it to us, but he's really big politics in North Carolina. Walks with a kind of a limp and has a cane that he walks around with all the time. I know you know who I'm talking about.
Reverend Dr.
Barber.
William Barber.
That's it, Barber.
That's no problem. Yeah. He was arrested during a prayer.
Yes, this happened like 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. We had it actually on a list, I think, at one point, and the show got away from us that day, and we didn't go into it. But yes, William Barber had been arrested for praying basically at some sort of rally. Hold
that thought. Shout out to my brother Willard Slush Romaine checking in. This is he said Ras is really showing his you know what out right now, going this hard for people who barely have a right to be here, compared to using these efforts to help get some of Newark out of poverty, is outrageous and telling. He spearheaded gentrification and took ownership away from melanated people. These Democrats and Republicans have to pay. No reparations, no vote. It's time to break away from the system. Now, you know I'm 10 minutes from Newark, and Willard and I both actually grew up in East Orange. So what we've seen East Orange do is the very things he just said. This is why when we was talking months ago about potentially seeing Democratic mayors be arrested, it's not like they were going to have the whole, give you an idea, the mayor of East Orange, a city of 70,000 people, he won uncontested with 10,000 votes, less than 10,000 votes. So that means you don't, it's interesting to see where the people are going to align when it comes to people like Ras Baraka, because, you know, there's two schools of thought, to Willard's point. Yes, you may be, I just think, you know, somebody could really look at what you have not done, what you've had the opportunity to do. And when they're thinking about if they're gonna come stand with you, am I gonna come stand outside that courtroom when you're in, you know, when you're being arraigned? Am I gonna, you know what has he done for me? I go down to Newark and I see, you know, beautiful buildings, they ain't owned by Black people. I see, so, you know, that's why I said I'm more, Willard, disturbed by the events overall rather than the personal aspects of the man. So I think, you know, that's kind of what I'm looking at. Like the fact that we can have federal agents arrest a mayor or a running governor, and it's kind of on a bogus, that's the part that's really more concerning to me.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like a person who will launch racial slurs at you, call you the N-word, call you this, depending on your nationality. Yeah, they're a bad person, but I stand in a country that gives you the rights to do that.
Right.
And for now. So the whole thing is, it's not about necessarily liking the person, but more so understanding the rights that he has, you know, that are being violated, that potentially once rights become violated or rolled back, it's not going to take long before that spills over to other rights that may be closer to your doorstep. Anything else you?
That's the point. That is the point.
Yeah, that's all I got, Curtis, on there. I just wanted to tap in with him. DC Old Fly, good to see one of our favorite co-hosts checking in. And Willard, I love your critical thinking. I would love for you to be here regularly, because these are the types of conversations that we have here. Like we don't shy from anything. Karima Powell, my sister, checking in. Great to see you.
All right,
wonderful.
I should have known that DC Old Fly was going to be keeping her black behind at home, as she says. I didn't need her to respond to that. I already knew that she wasn't going out there protesting nothing. But anyway,
listen, I could even pray from the house.
There you go. I ain't got to go nowhere to pray. I give you 9 minutes of prayer, but it's gonna be in my living room. But
prayer, send me the Zoom link.
There we go. Listen, it's all right. I do appreciate Willard jumping in there. You know, I we beat that horse, I guess, enough. I do want to just real quickly, though, acknowledge while we're talking about the city of Newark, the Newark mayor, former Newark mayor, Sharpe James, city's longest serving mayor, passed away at the age of 89 this week. So our condolences to the James family. He was he was a I don't know, problematic, but he was a leader that in Newark that did a lot of things. The revamping of Newark, the bringing of the hockey team and the Prudential Center and those sort of things. Those sort of things actually, the revitalization of downtown Newark actually began with Sharpe James, and I think we have to give him credit for that. He was certainly problematic. He had some. There was some questionable things that went on during this time, but the fact of the matter is he had a heart for Newark and Newarkers, and maybe he did benefit from some of that, but for the most part, I think he did the right thing. And so Newarkers are mourning I think it was five-term mayor in the city of Newark, Sharpe James. Any thoughts on Sharpe James passing?
I was always taught if you don't have anything nice to say.
Okay. All right. Full disclosure, he was a fraternity brother of mine as well.
Okay.
And actually chapter brother, because we were in the same chapter there in Newark. But
well, God bless. May he
listen.
rest in peace, and I pray that he find peace. But the Willard he just ignite, because I'm known here, I'm known in the city of East Orange for I'm a troublemaker to them because of those very reasons.
Right.
Because everything he just said, and the programs, and who owns the buildings, and who owns, and what we're teaching the residents, and why aren't we teaching the residents? There's been a 15-year real estate boom. Why don't our residents and our young men know about construction and masonry and wood car? It's not like, oh no, they don't want to, so and I think when Willard sees us talking about local politics, that's really where we lean to, because there's been billions made in Newark, billions made in Newark, hundreds of millions made in East Orange, and very little of it comes to our people. And I think it's just, there's no investment into our people. We don't have the skills because trade school, they took the trades out of the school. Wood shop is no longer cool. Electric is no longer cool. So, these are the things that I like. I hope we can kind of build on what our former leaders did and kind of use it as an opportunity. Like, take what they did well and build on it, But so God bless Sharpe James, though. May I pray his soul is at peace.
Amen. Now, and I will say this with regard to the two things can be true, right? And certainly we would have loved to see more things happening for our community that impact our community in a positive way. But by the same token, we shouldn't be upset that when actions are being taken to care for others, the least of those amongst us. So we can look out to the interests of the immigrant, and also make sure that the long-term residents and the people who have kind of built things up their needs are also being met. So it doesn't have to be an either or thing. I don't believe. So that's where I am with that.
Yeah, that's well said.
But so anyway, real quick. So I don't know where to go next because there's so many things. Well, we did talk about this might be a natural linkage because we've talked about, and this is story 6 here. We alluded to the George Floyd era, and the maggots.
We should probably put a disclaimer that this is going to piss some people off, but this one right here is going to piss some people off. Disclaimer.
Absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead, Curtis.
And I think that's by design, right? I think that is by design. But what I'm here to tell you is to calm yourself, because the maggots are pushing to release or have Trump pardon Derek Chauvin. Derek Chauvin, the cretin that murdered George Floyd on the street callously 5 years ago. So there's all talks because the maggots don't really have a grasp of civics and critical thinking. They are pushing for Trump to pardon Derek Chauvin, which of course would be an inflammatory thing, right? You would think in this time. The fact of the matter is the Minnesota Attorney General basically said he ain't going nowhere. He got 22 and a half years. He still owes the state of Minnesota. So he was convicted of state charges, similar to our president, who was convicted of state charges in the state of New York. That means that even he, as president, could not pardon himself because these are state charges. So I just want us to understand the difference that these people were convicted, these two felons, Derek Chauvin and Donald Trump, were all convicted in a state court, which means that the president has no power to pardon these individuals. So old DC is going to do his time, 22 years in a Minnesota jail. And I'm sorry if the maggots don't like that, but I believe they used to say that we were in a law and order country and the man was convicted of a crime and now he must serve his time. Any thoughts on that one?
No, I think you hit that one perfectly.
All right.
Perfectly. I got nothing to add. I don't even want to talk about this guy other than what you just said.
But that's the point, is that I think that all of this is designed to try and get the black folks stirred up, right? If we can get the black folks stirred up, get them out in the streets again, then he can really do what he really wants. And that's unleash the military. And so don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe, black folks.
Great
Do
quote.
not fall for the banana in the tailpipe.
Look, man, I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe. If y'all don't know.
Classic line. Classic line.
Yeah.
Well, your president is over in the Middle East as we speak, and actually he may be on his way back now because I'm sure he has a golf time sometime for the weekend that he's trying to make it back to. But I guess he could play golf over there too. But anyway, so he did the 47th president made a Middle East tour, went to Saudi, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. Now, this is going to be a problematic one, and I don't know if everybody's going to see this, but the big story that came out of this is that Qatar offered to give Trump a jet, a big 747 jet, huge. They called it a palace in the air, $400 million jet. And the president has been quoted as saying he'd like to use it as the new Air Force One. He thinks America should have the best Air Force One. Our plane is 40 years old, and we want to. He thinks we should have a better representation of America. First of all, what are your thoughts on the whole? Because there's levels on this one. There's layers to this that we got to get into.
Well, yeah. The country offered Qatar. They're offering their our president a jet, and he said it'd be foolish not to take it. It'd be
right.
Like somebody offers you something, you take it. But we have, I believe, was it Bob Menendez?
Bob Menendez, my man, our former senator, locked up, or I don't know if he's actually locked up yet, but he's gonna be.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Nowhere near 400 million he accepted it in What did he accept? Was he? Because I would like to bring someone up who accepted gifts, and it was scrutinized, or they're in prison for accepting similar circumstances, not necessarily bribery. I mean, but who's to say? We don't know what the conversation was that led to a jet, or what the pitch was, or what. Hey, you know what? If you do this, we have no idea. Which is bribery. The point is, we've seen people go to prison for far less, and go ahead.
Do you remember when Hillary Clinton was given I think it was a $400 necklace or something? She caught hell behind this necklace.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I don't think she actually ever was able to accept it because it was a $400 necklace. And there are, like, you work for a corporation, you have a code of ethics. Same thing with being a government official. At least it used to be that way. That you have a code of ethics that you have to be held to, and those have completely gone out the window. So there's one aspect of this is the gift itself, and whether it's ethical for the president to be able to take this and then use it post presidency, which is the way it was originally portrayed, that he could use it once he's out of office. It'll be transferred to his foundation. So that's one aspect of it. But from
the foundation of his bank account.
There you go.
Put it at the bottom of my bank account.
Which I think has increased by 300 billion, I believe I heard, in the last 3 months. His net worth. But I digress. Nothing to see here.
Yep. Pull that curtain back.
But
pull the curtain. Go ahead. Sorry.
You've got the aspect of the ethics of receiving a gift of this magnitude, but from a safety and security point of view, they are making tracking devices that fit on butterflies. So who's to say they put 1,000 of these tracking devices in this Trojan horse gifted plane? How can you even secure that? Even if they put 1,000 of them in there, say they found 900 of them, and they're like, yeah, we got 900 of these bugs. There's still maybe possibly 100 bugs on this thing.
That's a great point.
And you got the president with the nuclear codes and all types of secret discussions going on these planes. You've got him there having these conversations. Who knows who's listening? Who knows who can track where they are and where they've been? There's so many problematic things about this from a safety and security point of view. Apart from the ethics piece of it, it's mind-boggling. And the fact that this even is being entertained, that the Republicans in Congress are even being quiet about this, is shameful. It's actually shameful that these people call themselves representatives of the people when they are doing no such thing. They're laying down and allowing this administration to just walk over them. And history will not be kind to these people. I project.
Well, that's a great point concerning because I think the conversation I've heard and over the last since it happened, it's been about the ethics. No one really went into the national security, or at least I haven't read anything yet that really talks about that. Because again, these are foreign governments. These are some of these people that we're doing business with are people who at some point have hated our country, or we used to hate, or it hasn't been all, but in any case.
It's 8 years ago, our president, when he was president 45, was basically calling out Qatar as a terrorist supporting regime. What's changed in 8 years? Their administration hasn't changed.
Right. I mean, what happens? Yeah, it just literally. You're right. I mean, you could scan that whole jet, but you're not. You can't find if they have one bug on that plane and listen to everything. Now our national security is at risk. Our safety as the people who live here is at risk. Like, no, that's a. I don't think I don't think. We'll see if he accepts it. At this point, he said he will accept it. We'll see if they deliver on it. But that is a scary thing to think about from a take this beautiful plane we have for you. You know, there's a little explosive device, God forbid, timed it.
There you go. There you go.
For it to be president.
That's scary. But then you think about it. Now, part of this is, again, I said this is layers to this. Now, the Boeing Corporation, who's have their own problems right now, but Boeing has a contract with the U.S. to actually produce these Air Force One. So there was some talk about whether they would sue the government for breach of contract. But then think of this. Now, we just heard while he was on this Middle East trip, which is Northeastern Africa, that they decided to call Middle East. But anyway, I digress again. So he made a deal with the Saudis for $600 billion, and with the country of Qatar, I think it was $240 billion. And part of that included like a deal to buy more planes from Boeing. A portion of that $600 billion, I believe, was basically a deal with Boeing to order more planes from them. So to me, it seems like it's
the article here that we have up on the screen. If I can get, well, that's the New York Times article, but it says 210.
Okay, 210.
Is that like Qatar Airways agrees? So they bundled a deal where Qatar agrees to buy 210 Boeing jets, because there's a lot of deals made over so far in that trip, with the Saudis. But what bothers me and what I think should bother anybody is the oversight.
Right.
The oversight committees. Remember the inspectors generals were fired. All of these independent committees that used to look over these deals to make sure these were not politicians. These are independent committees that are there to make sure. Now, again, see, the problem is, man, when people have found fault with things and there's been corruption and things that slip by, now the whole system is questionable. Well, what were the inspectors generals doing when Congress was taking money from lobbyists and, and insider trading and, but, which is why you hear some people say reform the system. Don't destroy it.
He took a hand grenade to the whole system and whatever.
Right. Because, okay, if we may say that, well, the people who are the inspectors generals are on any oversight committee. The oversight committees are there to make sure that everything passes the smell test. They didn't do a good job. That does not mean we don't need inspectors generals or we don't need oversight committees. It means we need more scrutiny, more vetting, more, you know what I'm saying? More accountability in those positions. But now we have no one in these meetings to tell us exactly what's being said, what's being agreed upon, what's being promised now and in our future.
You don't think that was an accident, do you?
100%. We understand. Clean house. I'm coming to drain the swamp. Drain the swamp. Ain't nothing left. So that's all I got.
Listen, lots of deal making going on. I don't know who's benefiting these deals, whether it's the country or a small group of rich people. I suspect I know the answer to that, but anyway. So story 3 here.
It ain't trickled down yet.
No, and it won't. Trust me, it will not. and nor is it designed to. But if they tell you that enough times, you'll believe it, apparently. Apparently, the philosophy of this administration is repeat the lie loudly and vociferously enough times that everybody will believe it. And so far, on a certain part of the population, it's working. But apparently, the U.S.-China tariff trade war has been problematic in a lot of ways. I'm just going to say this. If you're planning on, and this goes back to a story we did last week, if you're planning on having Christmas presents or holiday presents in December, if you don't have them by June, you may have a problem. June, July, if you haven't already gotten your Christmas gifts, your little boy or girl may be disappointed, because even in the midst of this tariff deal, quote unquote, that's been done, they paused the tariffs for 90 days. Supposedly they'd rolled back the tariffs from the ridiculous, whatever it was, 240 some percent back to something a little more manageable. I think it ended up around 30%. I correct me if I'm wrong on those numbers, but the Chinese government, that some of these things that have already happened, even if the deal goes through now, the ramifications are still going to happen. The shelves are still going to have they're going to still be a period of time where our shelves going to be empty, potentially, because of what has already taken place. So that was just a caution for those who are buying gifts, especially for little ones. You might want to get on that now. Don't wait until November to try and get gifts, because it could be problematic at that point.
And this is a great point. I love that. This is a short-term deal that's made. But I don't love, and you're right, the U.S. agreed to drop the 145% tariff, which is a tax,
right,
down to 30%. China agreed to lower its tariffs from 10%. Well, wait, hold on. China agreed to lower its tariff rate on U.S. goods to 10% from 125%,
correct,
because that was a retaliatory tariff after our administration made the first move. Now, here's what I'm considering, Curtis. We're still up in the air.
Absolutely.
It's 90 days. So if we consider, for those of you who don't know, last week's show, it was, we had a great talk about the supply chain interruptions. We played the gentleman who runs the Port of Los Angeles.
Correct.
And he let us know that within a few weeks, we are going to see massive gaps in the things that we used to get. Massive. Because some of these ships were coming in 30% empty,
right,
35% empty, a third empty. So he let us know this, and we reported this. No. Now, here's the problem. The reason why the ships were a third empty is because business owners cannot forecast. They don't know what's going to happen. So they can't order that. These huge companies like Walmart, listen, when we go shopping, hey, I need something tomorrow. Man, that was a holiday. I gotta go shopping. We go shopping. If you're early, you might be 2 weeks, a month. My dad will start Christmas shopping 2 months early. Deshaun, I'm already Christmas shopping. Got all my gifts. It's November, Dad. That's how I like it. A month early. These businesses order 2-3 quarters early. A year, They already have a forecast.
Yep.
So they can't operate off of 90-day windows of uncertainty. So what they'll typically do, and what we've seen them do, is let's just hold off right now. Let's go light. Let's scale back. So when you say 90 days, what it does is it positions only those who know what's going to happen in 90 days to make a lot of money. See, certainty allows you to move and bet. Place your bets. because all we are doing is placing bets. All of these corporations are placing bets. All right, listen, I think things are going to go well. Let me put my orders in. Let's load up inventory for the summer. That's a bet. You could be totally wrong. 90 days, all hell breaks loose, 200% tariffs and everything, and you just lost hundreds of millions of dollars. We're placing bets here. So when you're betting, the only people are the people who we saw 3 months ago, 2 months ago, maybe 2 months ago, when these things first started, and we saw Charles Schwab made $2 billion. He stood in the White House. He made $2 billion in one day.
Right.
And there was another gentleman there who made 800 million one day. So it sounds like they knew how to bet. And everything that we are operating in is this uncertainty, which means, yes, it looks like, oh, a deal was made between the US and China, but we still have, just as we are waiting for the non-China tariffs to hit that we've been reporting.
I was just going to say that. Have we forgotten that the other tariffs have been paused and they got another, less than 60 days now before they kick back in?
Stuff is queued to kick in. It's like, it's queued to kick in. Because it was 60 days, I think, last week.
But last week, yep.
Right?
Yep.
So now we're down to 58 days. I'm 52 days, 53, whatever.
Something
before
like that.
Every single one of those countries' tariffs hit. So all we're in right now is massive uncertainty. And from a business perspective, that's not how people move. That's not what loads up our shelves for holidays. That's not what makes people import to the United States. All of that says, you know what? I don't know what's going on. We are going to scale back. We're not going to take this risk until all of this blows over. And that's why I think, Curtis, to your point, we need to get ready for empty shelves.
Absolutely. This might be one of those years that you just make homemade gifts for the family. Yeah, that you're on the floor in the dining room making up little dolls for the kids or something. I don't know. It could be that kind of year. Looking like little stick figures or stick dolls. That could be the gifts this year. But this is what some folks voted for, so that's okay.
Short term. Listen, let me ask you guys watching. Do we think it's going to end well? Let's put it like this. I'm curious as to, do you think it's going to end well? Right now, uncertainty. Right now, price is still high. Layoffs. Forget the layoffs. Massive layoffs that I can't even. Oh, Curtis, we didn't even talk about this. It's not even on the show sheet.
Nope.
I'll try
Black
to find
women.
it before the end of the show. Black women.
Yep. Lost more jobs in April than any group.
Get Black with me checks in. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
All right.
How many jobs Get Black with me did Black women lose in April? We've never seen numbers like this before, ever. So this is the things that's happening behind the scenes, where we as people see just uncertainty, hardship. But my question is, do you think it's going to end well? To those of you watching, is there a light at the end of the tunnel? And what is that light?
The oncoming train.
So we know Curtis' opinion on. Curtis not too optimistic here. What's going on? Bonita S., good to see you. Shouldn't be celebrating Christmas anyway. They're pagan holiday.
There's that.
We use that opportunity in my family to celebrate the birth of the Savior.
Amen.
He wasn't born on that day, but because there's no day that we actually know he was born on, that's the day we choose to celebrate the birth of the Savior and the gifts that the wise men brought, and we give gifts for those reasons. We're not worshiping a God, but that's just us. I don't know what other people do during Christmas.
Listen, whatever y'all doing during Christmas is on you.
Summoning St. Nicholas.
My Savior was born. I don't know what day he was born, but he was born, and I'm celebrating that. So that's where I am with it.
Amen. And Get Black with me said, I don't trust those numbers. I'm sure it's way more than what they said.
Oh, clearly.
Probably right there.
clearly.
And it was a large amount of people. So a large amount of black women. So again, do you guys think it's going to end well? Does it end with hey, this plan that President Trump is rolling out? Give it some time. It's going to be great eventually. Do we think, what do you think? And
what is I don't know. I think we have to figure out what is the end? What does that even look like? The end? What are we talking about? The end of civilization as we know it, the end of this country, the end of democracy? How does this end? I mean, there's so many ways that this could end. Frankly, it could end with an annihilation of the world. Now, I don't want to be hyperbolic, but you've got a bunch of nuclear armed, unstable people. Somebody's sensibilities get upset. Somebody calls DJT the wrong thing. We saw Bush go do a whole war because somebody had shot at his father back in the 90s, right? Early 2000s. We saw a whole war kick off because basically the younger Bush was upset at how his father had been treated and started a war with some people who had nothing to do with 9/11. So when you've got sensitive, weak-minded people in control who can't control their emotions or that sort of thing, that's a problematic place to be, because who knows, somebody you've ever been in the club, somebody steps on somebody's sneakers, and next thing you know, there's a big fight. Guns maybe going off in the club because somebody stepped on somebody's shoes, just because somebody's sensibilities were trespassed against. It's a minor offense, but in their mind, it's a big deal, and it becomes problematic for everybody. So
people in prison right now for 20 years because the way they reacted when their sneaker got stepped on.
I actually met a guy on the street the other day, and he was looking for a little assistance, and I had him run down his story for me. And he was just telling me how he had gotten into a beef with his family, and they called the police on him. I was like, brother, you got to know, as a black man in America, self-control is our greatest weapon. Is not allowing people to get you off your square, as they say.
You gotta say that. You gotta go. Just give us a soliloquy real quick, because I love where you're going with this.
Well, listen, people can get you into a place, and I used to be this person. I was a real, when I was young, losing was just a terrible experience for me. I would lose my temper, all that sort of thing. I was what you would call a sore loser. I guess over time, now, to know me now, to get me to a place where I'm upset about things takes an awful lot, because somewhere along the line, I learned how to control my emotions and not let them control me. And so many times in relationships, we see it far too often. And we're seeing it in the political realm, that people get offended by words. We used to say sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never. That seems to have gone out the window now. So somebody says something to you out of the way, and that becomes your excuse to just sort of lash out. And I'm not saying I'm above this, because listen, every fight I've been in has been as a result of somebody calling me a racial slur. And then they got to get the comeuppance. Now, in my mind, I feel justified for doing that. But the reality is that their words I should not allow their words to get me to a point where I'm doing something that is out of my character, out of my nature. So black men especially need to understand how important it is for us to maintain our self-control. I don't. I didn't want to get on. I had not planned this, but there was a. You may have seen a viral clip of a gentleman in an unmelanated guy in Harlem who went into a chicken place this week. Just saw it this week.
You mean a mayonated guy? One of our mayonated brothers.
One of our mayonated brothers went into a spot in Harlem and started mouthing off to the guy behind the thing. Like basically he wasn't dealing with him quickly enough. And the brother, I love the way he dealt with him because he was very calm. He was very clear in his wording. And he was like, brother, listen, I will serve you. You came here to be served and I will serve you, but it's going to be dependent on how you act as to what I serve you or how I serve you. I'm like, whoa, brother. He did the whole little thing. He's like, you in Harlem now, brother. Be safe.
Right.
Be safe. Be safe. You in Harlem now.
Right.
And he gave him a little touch in the chest, a little tap on the arm.
Yeah.
The mayonnated brother's response was classic because he knew he had some get right in him after that. Because the way the brother dealt with him was so calm and clear that, sir, you are in jeopardy right now because of the way you are acting. You need to take a step back. And he showed enough wisdom to actually do it because a lot of times people don't. Isn't
that what really, really terrifies you when someone is too calm?
Absolutely.
Wait a minute. You're too calm. You know, it's you worry about the people that's too calm. You know, those are the people who used to say, oh, you know, because those black belts be super calm.
Mm-hmm.
You never know who you're dealing with. Like a black belt ain't gonna get, hey, I'm a black belt. You ain't never gonna hear a black belt say that. You ain't never gonna hear anybody with the hands ability really say, hey, no, you don't want these hands, you know. And when we see these clips go viral, a lot of times it's the one that's doing the talking is the one that ends up laying
getting knocked out. Absolutely.
Right. So,
almost always.
So when the brother gets up and he's speaking calmly to you,
yes, indeed,
like he cares about you.
Yes. Like, I don't want to hurt you, brother. I do not. Please don't force me to.
And God bless him for taking the lesson. But to your point, to wrap this one up, I wanted you to go deep on that because I think that what we gotta really see, especially our black women and our brothers who are gonna watch this or are watching this, we communicate differently and we need to handle our emotions differently. It's not always gonna look the same. So when your boyfriend or your man, y'all in a disagreement, okay, the brother is trying to walk away, not to dismiss you.
Right.
He's trying to walk away because as men, we have to be able to calm down. If we get to a point, because we are protectors, and when we feel like things can't, you know, like and I've been married 19 years this year, thank God. And that's something that me and my wife learned. Because sometimes I did feel like I was walking away from situations and I'm like, wait, why can't you communicate? Because as my wife at that time, she would want, hey, let's communicate this. Don't walk away. And I'm like, listen, but I'm not in a place right now where I can communicate. And then what I started saying is, you know, let me go over here. Let me talk to the Lord, hear from the Lord. If I'm wrong, he's going to tell me, you know, you're wrong. Go ahead. You need to go apologize right now. Let me calm this down. And then let's come back. And let's have this conversation. So I think if we can just understand how we've been brought up and how we've been basically the defense mechanisms we've had to build as black people in this world. From a woman's standpoint, you've had to build different defense mechanisms to protect yourself and your emotions and your mental space. As black men, we've had to build different defense mechanisms to protect those same things. Sometimes when we come together, it doesn't look, we have to give each other grace and see, oh, that's how you handle things. But yes, the ability for the black man to control themselves, Curtis, I think that is the biggest gem. Because like you said, that is one of our greatest, if not our greatest superpower, is self-control. Because you cannot, my former pastor used to say something, he who angers you controls you.
Exactly.
So if a person hit that switch and they know what that switch looks like, they can turn that thing on, and next thing you know, you having a good day. Hey, everybody, what's going on? Hey, I brought some coffee for the day. Hey, everybody got donuts in there. And next thing you know, that person, and you're like, yo, they started out good. So I think being able to control ourselves independent of any outside stimulus or major for us. And again, which is why we like stay your behind in the house. When you see all of this thing, because your emotions, our emotions, they're gonna be like, hey, come out here, here. Look what we just did to this person. Come on out. It's just gonna be, and what we gotta do is nope, we stand inside. So we're gonna continually reinforce that until we can't reinforce it no more. Because until it's just like, all right, Curtis, we telling people to stay inside, they outside losing. We can't say this no more. So anyway, that's all I got on that one.
I want to get into this other story. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying if there was anything you wanted to end with, but let's move to what's next on the.
Because story number 7 is on our sheet here. I want to give. This has been going on for a little over a week, I believe. So this is out in Cincinnati, or a suburb of Cincinnati, Ohio, where a father lost his son. His son was killed by police. And he had just found out about the police taking his son's life. So he went out. I want to be careful because I don't know all the details of the story, but he went out and he mowed down with his vehicle a police officer who was just directing traffic, apparently. So it was not the officer, to be clear. He took out an officer, but not the officer who killed his son. Now, obviously, he gets arrested. And I don't know, you may have seen the clips during the week talking about like he was in court. And I think there was like 50 officers in the courtroom. And, you can imagine the scowls that they had on their face looking at this black man who had just killed one of theirs. Complex issue, because I get it. But I don't think other people get the other side of this. And I'm sure the prevailing thought pattern is that this man was wrong for killing someone who was really not the person who killed his son. What I think people have trouble grasping, though, is that that person represented an entity, represented that uniform that guy was wearing, represented the people who killed his son to him. And I guess he couldn't get to the person who did it, but it's a tragic thing all the way around in my mind. But I first want to get your thoughts on the piece. I want to get your thoughts on is that man, as he walked out of that courtroom, you'll see the clips of him purposefully standing with his head high, not standing in his own truth. Yes, he took a life of a person. The person whose life he took was innocent. We have to admit that if we're going to be honest, right? But as you see that man walking out with his head high, and you see the disdain for those people that are looking at him, that disdain was there all along before he killed the officer. That disdain for the life of his 18-year-old son caused this man to lose his son. And I'm not trying to justify his actions, because his actions were wrong as well. But there was a song back. What's the song? I Could Just Kill a Man. You know that rap song back. Who was it?
There is something who can't understand how I could just kill a man.
That's the thought process that goes on in my mind, is that if you're not exposed to this on a constant basis, you can't understand the mentality of someone who is so frustrated, so has reached the point where they have to lash out at something. And the way they lash out, as inappropriate as it may be, they're lashing out at a representative of the thing that inflicted their trauma. And I can understand that psychology in a man, and especially in a black man in America, when we have so much trauma that is just thrust upon us from all different ways, all different places, including law enforcement. And we love law enforcement. We need them. We've talked about this ad nauseum in the past, but there's more than a few bad apples. And we have to acknowledge that. We do have to acknowledge that. And they're not always being held responsible for that. So I'd like to get your thoughts on this. It's a tragic thing all the way around, and I don't want to make light of it, but I want our audience to understand this.
I mean, I think, listen, we've had plenty of stories where white folks were conflicted in their feelings and they lean towards their own. You know, I heard, you know, it's so interesting, Muhammad Ali, I saw a clip of him earlier today, and he said, you know, that he said eagles don't hang out with pigeons. He said red birds don't hang out with bluebirds. Like, you know, he's talking about how it's set up in nature for you to protect your own, gravitate to your own. You know, you could be around the bluebird, but you don't see them integrating. You don't see the bluebird. Oh, what's this? You know, so it makes me think of, just in the natural sense, we are going to empathize with our own first, especially considering the plight that others don't seem to see, willfully blind. So if you're not going to see that this has been a buildup of multiple generations, then okay, then we have to look at this with a little subjective opinion too.
Right.
Look at this courtroom. I got the courtroom up on the screen. I had it playing as you were saying it. I've never seen a courtroom where this gentleman entering a plea and it's loaded with cops. And who are all of these people? Who are all of these, you know, some of the people who are not cops? I feel like they came in on their day off. They're not even in uniform, and they're like, hey, listen, when we gotta be there. This guy's got suits on. But one thing that they can never take away, and I don't know if you can see this from your end, Curtis, they can't take this away right here. This right here, as this man turns around.
Absolutely.
Look, this is right here. That holds your head up high, because we're not that anymore. We're not walking around with our head low anymore. We're not walking around feeling like lowly, subservient people anymore. Like that joint is, that's over. Of course, we still have self-esteem issues and trauma, but this brother lets you know, I'm a different generation, brother.
Yes.
And I'm from that, and I'm gonna tell you the truth, because I'm not even going to shame our ancestors and say that it wasn't brothers like that snapped the slave master neck. Yo, and they like walking them to be lynched, and he just
standing there proud, standing there in his manhood.
Yes. Like, all right, you put me down. So they've since filed a on his behalf
$25 million lawsuit.
$25 million lawsuit on behalf of Harris, Hinton. I was about to. I wouldn't want to call him Rodney Harris. Rodney Hinton, and I love that. I don't know if y'all are seeing this. That's a part of the reason why we're here. I was saying this after the presidential election. They lied, and they said this is the most ununified group of people we've ever seen. They can't unify. They hate each other. They can't unify. Nope. From the time almost 80% of black men voted for Kamala Harris. 96% of black women voted for Kamala Harris. We have a group of black people who didn't vote, but we also have black people who are not of the same DNA. Y'all got to realize that too. Stop grouping us all into one group of people, like because we black. You can't group white people in Europe with white people. Well, that's not a good example.
I tell you, hey, listen, they figured it out.
You can't wait. Listen, it's black people. It's different because we all come from a certain area where. So, but you have tons of tribes and different people. So the point is, are y'all seeing that we were the most unified voting bloc of anyone? We united against the majority. We lost, but we united against the majority. There's no 70% of Asian. There's no 80% of Asian women, 90% of Asian women. There's no majority in any of these other racial groups that united and voted. We saw something coming. We said, no, this is not for us. We're going this way. Now, we're the isolated group because we're the group that they know we don't really get down with y'all.
Right.
And so but all of these other races claim to be united, but they're the ones that are really divided. I want you to see this. They're the ones that's really divided. We stand as a united majority. So why now? What are we seeing? Those boycotts look different.
Yep.
We're affecting bottom lines.
They're unseasoned.
We got a sister, what is the sister's name? Starts with a K. Somebody tell us. I follow her now. Kendra.
She was with the crowdfunding lady.
The one that read the code.
Right.
For, and we got that. We're going to talk about that. But we are actually not playing now. Now, I don't want y'all to pay attention to those of us who still are. Don't be distracted. We can't even be distracted by our own. Put your mind and your eyes on those of us who moving in unison, in lockstep, who following the protocol. We understand this. Yo, we need to not shop here. We're not shopping here. Forget about forget about I'm sorry to say it. I said this to my daughter. Everybody can't come where we going.
That's true.
Everybody can't come to the party. Stop. So a lot of times we create a disappointment with our expectations of what we expect all black people to do. We got the majority right now. If we got 70% of black people moving, let's celebrate the fact that 70% of us move as a unit. 70% of us, when it's the orders we get, we still ain't shopping at Walmart. Right. We still ain't shopping. If we've minimized it, even if you've minimized it, even if Amazon was on, they was at your door 3, 4, 5 times a week sometimes. You're like, all right, now it's one. I need that, I need the little thing. I only get, but follow me. The lie is the division still exists. Right. The division exists in them. We are more united than ever. And that's why when we stand for a $25 million lawsuit, when we see our brothers, we showing up. That's the part that has me encouraged about where we are as a people. That's not going to be reported. Hey, black people are they're more united than ever. You see these movements they're doing, and people are showing up. They're hurting these companies. They're leading charges and boycotts, and you don't see them in the streets though. It's happening all online.
They're not going to tell you that. They will not tell you that.
That's all I got.
Keandria Demone was the young lady, the activist name that kind of broke down that code in response to the unmelanated woman calling the 5-year-old the N-word in the park a couple weeks ago, and then raising $600,000 plus on this crowdfunding platform. So racism has become profitable, apparently, as well in 2025. But moving on.
And to get Black Whitney's point, she said 86% of people who voted, not 86% of the people.
Correct.
86% of the people, 86% of black men who voted for Kamala Harris. And the people who did not vote, they can't come. You're not even participating.
Right. They didn't care enough to participate.
Do you want them in anything you are doing? You're not even participating. You talking about you don't even know your history. You don't even know how hard your people fought, your ancestors fought for the right to vote. That's what I'm saying. Everybody, that's why those numbers get black with me. I know what you're saying because it's factual.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm starting to get less and less. I'm getting trained to see the greatness in my people and all people, but I can't think about the people, the whole system rigged.
Yeah.
All right. So what you gonna do? You starting a new system for us? Man. Hey,
listen, there's no week that goes by. Not a week that goes by that I don't say I love my people. Seeing something online, whatever, just seeing the way we are, how resilient we are. There's not a week that goes by that I don't say I love my people, even if it's just laughing at us because we are so creative times, and we'll make a joke out of a lot of things that would crush others. So our resilience is amazing to me, and I love my people. So
so do I.
there we.
Everybody can't come.
That is true. Now we got some shout out. We got some help coming. If you believe it, some Africans are on the way, specifically some South Africans just arrived this week. And that's story 14 if you were looking for that there, brother. But yeah, so some South Africans came to help us in our struggle. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I read this wrong? These are white South. Oh, that's right. These are white South Africans that were now refugees. Yeah, these are folks. So these are the ancestors of people that stole the land from the black people in South Africa, and now they are claiming refugee victim status because the people who are the descendants of those that they stole that land from now are in a position to get it back, and they now are claiming victimhood. And of course, the white savior that is Don Trump decided to give them refugee status here in America. Yeah, I'm just going to stop talking there because I want us to remain on the air.
49 Afrikaners, the white minority group in South Africa, who, by the way, own 70% of the real estate in South Africa. So, again, we've spoken about apartheid South Africa. For those of you who may not be familiar, that's like the way we had segregation in the United States. Similar, not the same, couple differences, but white people here, these are our cities. Y'all stay over there. We will persecute y'all. We will do, and they end up buying up all the land that they had backing to get, and it remained that way for several decades. And now, as Curtis just pointed out, the leadership is like, nah, you know what? I think we're gonna start taking some of this land back. Yeah. What, y'all can't do that? We actually can.
It was kind of our land to begin with. Yeah.
You got it through unjust means.
There you go.
And I love it. Shout out to the the South African leadership, the president there. He has been, and his name is slipping my mind, but he has been doing amazing things really since, uniting with Brazil, Russia, India, China, and becoming, one of the 5 major pillars of the BRICS organization, which is
not Spain. Not Spain. They weren't
in BRICS does not. In case some of you saw our president on that article who said, the S in BRICS, that's Spain. No. And the guy was trying to help him. He's like, hey, no, it's not Spain. He's like, what? You're not familiar with BRICS? He's like, yeah, I am. He's like, yeah, so you should know Spain is the S.
Yeah,
in BRICS.
that's not
he's
what
trying
that
to
is.
give him, he's trying to pull the rope back, and the president just hanging himself with the rope. So,
Nah.
This is a South Africa who is very much showing they are sovereign. You are not going to make decisions for us. We have new allies. We are independent. And we're looking over the history books. We're looking over our land. We're looking over where we want to go in the future. And we don't see a foreign group of people owning 70% of our land in our present or future. Definitely not in our future. So now that led to Elon Musk, who is, for some of you who don't know, from South Africa, and his father got wealthy during apartheid. He's born during that time where it was racial segregation. And Elon Musk is tweeting, and of course, in the president's ear, hey, you see what's going on? Look what's going on. Look what they're doing to these people. And it becomes, oh, this is the worst thing. South Africa, some terrible things happening there. Yeah. Those people need to come here. And I love it. Because what you're going to see is people going to be flying this way and people going to be flying this way. And the people, if white people want to fly into America, while we're going to see black people over the next year, 2 years flying out of America, all well and good. All well and good. Because I want to go to South Africa. And when I was looking, I'm like, Dad, Cape Town.
Looks nice.
It's beautiful. South Africa, Johannesburg, Cape Town. And then you're looking, you're like, okay, that's like I'm in Europe. But anyway, I digress. But I'm not mad. I'm very happy. I love it. Shout out to South Africa. I think it's a great thing. And thank you, Get Black With Me, for letting us know. That's wait, no. She named both of the president and the guy you love, Curtis. Well, we both love him, but you've been you got I believe President Ramaphosa, but then the gentleman Julius Malema. Isn't that the gentleman who's over the Freedom Party?
That's the guy that we keep watching the clips from that guy.
Yep.
Yes, I remember.
Hold on, I'm pulling him up. Yep, Malema. Yes, exactly. This gentleman here. So you guys have probably seen his face a lot lately because he has been very vocal and rallying the people along with the president. And when you see these types of results, we've never seen this before. We've never seen, not this unified. With what Captain Traore is doing in Burkina Faso, and then South Africa is like, listen, we on that same time. I love it.
I do too.
I absolutely love it. That's all I got.
Well, you brought it up, so I got to hear it. Number 20. This is my point of just keeping track. I want to be fully transparent. I am wanting to keep Ibrahim Traore's name in the public square, the public conversation, every chance I get. I want to call his name out, give him his props. But we came across something this week, and I think we can only just play it, right? You got to play it. I would think.
You're right. Check this out, y'all.
I lift my voice to heaven high.
Kel's on the track.
In the heart of Africa, I see a flame. A young man rise, we call his name. Ibrahim Traore standing tall. For the love of his people, he risked it all. Bullets fly, but he don't fall. He walking through the fire, still answering the call.
The Pied Piper!
Chest, and the word in his hand. He's fighting for peace in his motherland. So I get down on my knees, praying for unity. Let no evil take control. God please protect his soul. God protect Ibrahim Traore. He's the voice of the people, let him lead the way. Shield him from the storm, from the enemy flow. Protect my kingdom, my soul. Let the children laugh, let the river flow. Bless every villager we sold, from the north to
Come
the
on.
south.
Come on. Come on. Yeah,
Kells bringing the heat.
Get Black with me so eloquently saying R. Kelly is making good use of his solitary confinement.
Now,
I
listen.
can still give it to y'all.
That's a bop. I'm not even going to front. Now, again, full disclosure and transparency here. I remember I put that in our group chat this week, and it was fire. Listen, I was all in. And then, of course, one of our team members doused my enthusiasm by making it known that this was not actually Kells. It was some sort of AI, not A1, some AI that had produced this. Now,
has that been proven though?
She put a bunch of stuff in there and told me.
Tory Lanez just put out, and God bless Tory Lanez. I mean, it's not on our show sheet, but he was stabbed multiple times this past week in jail. Multiple. I think they stabbed him like 16 times or something crazy.
Oh, wow.
But he survived. Yeah. But you bringing that up made me think of him because he's put out music from prison. You know, technology is so advanced that they can get an audio like so. Can anyone verify factual, actual? Any of our co-hosts, y'all in the chat, y'all are co-hosts. We cannot do all this research without y'all. Y'all be knowing things we don't know. Can anyone verify if this was actually Kells or if it was AI?
I'm going to go on the record. I'm going to go on the record and say I don't care, because if either way, I like it. I love it. In fact, and listen, if it's AI, okay. If it's Kells, that's okay too. Kells is problematic in some ways. He is in jail. Okay, and but I will give him his props in this regard. They didn't call him the Pipe Piper for nothing. The man has a slew of musical accomplishments that cannot be questioned. Now, as long as there wasn't an underage girl involved, he's probably good. But as far as his music's concerned, if he's getting credit for this, I'm down with it.
I'm with you, and I'm with Get Black with me. I don't care.
I don't either.
I don't care.
Not at all.
I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna bop it. If I was listening to, well, no, because we talk about underage girls. I don't want to talk about the Drake. I don't want to talk about the Drake AI, Tupac, and Snoop. Bad segue.
Anyway,
but what? Listen. A lot of our legends, and this is not happening as much with white legends. We've seen white people, guys, who have brought incredible things to the world. Incredible. They're not getting jammed up, and we know that their hands are dirty because everything that they catching our black legends for, he was with me. Like, what's up? I'm the only one. That's why I'm like, okay, when is the snitching gonna come? But let's let the people take the fall who got a culture of not snitching, because they ain't gonna snitch on us. They don't want to be snitches to their own community. But they're taking all our black legends down. So I gotta realize that I'm gonna listen to Kells if he drops something. I'm gonna watch the Cosby Show. I'm gonna still listen to Diddy. Diddy's a little question because he don't be paying his people, so I don't be like it. I don't like listening to Black Rob. Whoa, like whoa, because I'm like, dang, Black Rob dead and he died broke. That's the only reason it's questionable with Diddy. If Diddy was paying his people, I still be bad boy for life. Yeah,
don't.
He could be in jail all day. Baby oil, they got him. That's how I feel about our black, because you're not going to keep taking our black legends down and we don't have, our people that was on our Mount Rushmores. They killing them. They trying to kill Tyler Perry. Oh no, he's gay. They saying Obama's gay. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if we keep letting this narrative turn us away that's why I'm like, Kels, give me more. Give me more, you know? And he probably, this is my last point on this, if it is AI, he's going to hear it. And he's going to be like, wait a minute. They still want me up there? Yes. What I got to do to record some music in here? So that way, when you come out, you know, hey, you know your children still get paid, R. Kelly, on your music. You could go independent. You could keep things funding for your family, and you still in the joint, but your family still making millions. You know, we gonna listen. All right, I'm done.
Get Black With Me is just firing shots off today. I love it. Pew, pew, pew. Just all right. So I take it we don't want to update on the Diddy trial then, I guess, if we just had that comment.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
I actually had zero interest in what's going on in the Diddy trial. Whatever happens there. A couple more things, and we're pretty much running out of time here, as seems to be our position most times.
Before you go there, Get Black With Me said, I think we should pick our legends more carefully. They were legends before we knew.
That's true.
Diddy was a legend in the 90s. Diddy was a legend when he left Arista and went in and signed Biggie, and it was all a dream. Diddy was a legend when he was on that Source stage. You know, like, you know, these guys were legends. It's not like we anointed them and said, all right, you a legend now. We holding you accountable. No, they had already made, I mean, as far as my life, when we look at Bill Cosby, you know, I was raised on ethics of Bill Cosby, of Heathcliff Huxtable. Let's put it like that.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of these people have made incredible impacts in my life. And I think that's where, you know, we found out later that some of the things that was happening, I just want to see it fair. That's all. That's my only problem. You did the crime. You got to do the daggone time. You know, I have daughters, so I'm. You know, but I just wanted to be clear. Like I ain't co-signing. You know, no. Yeah, let's get him out. Free Diddy. Free Bill. That's not my position.
Well,
go ahead.
I think to get Black With Me's point is that we tend to ignore red flags in our community sometimes and give some of our entertainers or what have you. We do kind of give them a little bit of a pass just because of their status in the community, their wealth or what have you. But to your point, I mean, Cosby we didn't really know, but there were some red flags along the way. If we're honest now, if we look back. So, but
nobody knew that was R. Kelly in that video.
Somebody knew.
We didn't. It was like everybody got a doppelganger. When we saw that video, I was in high school, so I get what she's saying. Because Get Black With Me probably was one of those people who saw that video and said, "That's you see that? I'm done with him." Because that was early 2000s. But a lot of us was like, "But is it really him?"
Well, there's one person that knew absolutely for sure that it was him, and that was the young woman who was being urinated on. She knew who it was for sure, and it was him, apparently.
But she wasn't the one that came. Didn't the video kind of come out before she came out?
Yeah,
or she came out first.
I will admit that this is outside of my depth.
Okay.
I will say I'd probably have to call my wife up in here because that sort of stuff is not my thing.
Okay, all right. Let us know, Get Black With Me, because in all fairness, that's why I wrote off Drake. I'm sitting up here and I'm like, yo, Drake is winning. You know, he giving me, he just dropped this joint, Family Matters. And then once they're like, hey, but did you hear the joint? I'm like, is we just rapping or is he really a pedophile? Oh, look, he was brought the girl on stage. I said, he lost. Once I knew it was true. So I think, you know, I don't mess around with all right, I'm gonna get off this because she said Cosby was just trying to. She go with Cosby because he was just trying to get a little something on the side, and so that he wasn't messing with no young. When you start messing with young girls, that is you got serious problems. So anyway. So
let me get out of this.
This that segue. Yeah,
let me get out of this area of the pool because I don't. Hey, shout out to Omaha, Nebraska. John Ewing Jr. becomes the first black mayor of Omaha, Nebraska. The only reason Omaha is even in my sight line is because that's the home of the late great Malcolm X. I believe is from Omaha, or at least that's where his father was killed. That's the only thing I know about Omaha, Nebraska. But shout out to them. The John Ewing, who was a member of the administration, ran against the incumbent GOP mayor and unseated him. So congratulations. We don't even have to really talk about that. Senators passed. I wonder where the vanity people are now, where they put out that message a few weeks ago talking about 61 million is a good opening, but they've got a long way towards profitability. They are now, last I saw, they were well over 240 million worldwide, I believe. That may have gone up even since then. But congratulations to Ryan Coogler and the cast of Sinners for putting out an outstanding movie that still has a lot of traction even now. I think now it's fourth week. So yeah, shout out to Ryan Coogler, a genius.
Where y'all jokers at?
I haven't seen. I wonder if Vanity's put out any more tweets since they put that one out. Maybe not. Maybe they should refrain from tweeting for a while. Quick thing. We can maybe get into this a little later because it's going to come up again. But if the Supreme Court this week is hearing birthright citizenship arguments. Now, I think that black folks will be all right in this one, but this is a big one. This is a big one. And maybe it deserves more of a conversation than we'll have time to do here. But pretty much the way the birthright citizenship thing has been going is that if you were on a plane and you made it to America and you're pregnant, or somehow you get to America and you're pregnant and you have a baby while you're here, that baby becomes a U.S. citizen automatically, regardless of your immigration status as the parents. And so that's why you do see a lot of the rush you see pregnant women coming across the border and things like that, because it's almost been seen as like a golden ticket, where if you can have your child born here in America, they get citizenship. And I guess that's what we're seeing be kind of protested and fought against, is the fact that these folks can just be born here, get citizenship. The thing that bothered me is like, wait a second, they're going to say, black folks, y'all were just born here. Maybe they might try and use this against black people. But my brother Deshaun was able to allay my fears there by saying that he specifically is on the record as saying that the birthright citizenship should only apply to the descendants of the enslaved here in America. So he's on the record as saying it. That doesn't necessarily make it true because we've seen him say things in the past and then reverse course later. But
to quote our co-host Get Black with Me, Trump is a liar.
He is indeed a prevaricator.
Again, that's probably, I think you send that at least once a show. Get Black with Me. So and
it is true at least once per show.
When you were laying back, when you were saying what the this whole birthright citizenship conversation, what the intention is, we were talking before the show. You were talking about how you think he would like to use this to just really get as many people out the country as he can.
Absolutely.
And so,
as many unmayonnated people as possible. Let me make that clarification.
Yes. So if we, it had brought up in my mind this video and some of you may have seen it, because are we on that list? As he said, if that was the first concern, is if we're talking birthright citizenship being revoked or that part of the, then where do we fall on that?
Right.
But he's very vocal in his thoughts on it, and let's check some of this out.
Ending birthright citizenship. How confident are you that the court will rule in your favor and allow that order to end birthright citizenship to go forward?
Well, you just tell me that.
The Supreme Court agreed to hear oral arguments in the case about ending birthright citizenship. How confident are you that the court will rule in your favor and allow that order to end birthright citizenship to go forward?
Well, you just tell me that for the first time. I am so happy. I think the case has been so misunderstood. That case, birthright citizenship, is about slavery. If you look at the details of it, the signings of it, everything else, that case is all about slavery. And if you view it from that standpoint, people understand it. But for some reason, the lawyers don't talk about it. The news doesn't talk about it. That's not about tourists coming in and touching a piece of sand and all of a sudden they're citizenship. They're a citizen. That is all about slavery. And even look at the dates on which it was signed. It was right at that era, right after the Civil War. And if you look at it that way, the case is an easy case to win. And I hope the lawyers talk about birthright citizenship and slavery, because that's what it was all about. And it was a very positive, it was meant to be positive. And they use it now instead, not for slavery, they use it for.
Okay. So, and Get Black With Me says birthright citizenship had nothing to do with enslaved black people. But that's not even the question I like to pose is, does this mean that President Trump, in his getting people out the country, is that him saying, I don't want these black people leaving? Because he seems to have labeled us a protected group under birthright citizenship, even if he's wrong. In his mind, eyes, words, those black people who descend from slaves, they're protected with birthright citizenship. Everyone else, you are not. So what do you think this means? And you tap in, and then I love to see what our co-hosts are going to tap in with.
Well, I tend to kind of disagree with Get Black With Me. I almost hate to say that, but I mean, this was originally, that's what its intent was. Now it's gone on to be adjudicated to include others, not just the descendants of the enslaved black folks, but late in the 19th century, I think it came to be basically interpreted that any person born on U.S. land was basically covered by this, and it's been that way for well over 100 years now. So that's what makes this interesting, that this Supreme Court that is stacked, of course, with Trump loyalists, how they see this and how they rule on this, I think is important, or at least something that we should keep our eye on, right? Because just because Trump said it had to do with slavery or the enslavement of people, we've seen him reverse course before. So, and as Get Black With Me points out, he has shown propensity to sometimes tell things that aren't true or say things that aren't necessarily true. So, and that's my gentle way of saying he is a liar. But anyway, getting down.
But do you think in any way, even if he's wrong about he speaks with a lot of conviction there. That doesn't mean he can't change his mind. But let's just say because he does what he wants to do. If he does forget the Supreme Court, if we end up saying, you know what, birthright citizenship as a country, that doesn't. The only people that are protected are who I think are protected and who I say are protected, then that benefits us. Because before he changes everything and says, well, the blacks too, even the people who were enslaved, then he would, in the beginning, it would be, no, everyone of these other race groups, y'all pack up and get out of here. You know, so I think even whether you or Get Black with me think, you know how truthful he's being, he's speaking with a lot of conviction about what he understands and believes birthright citizenship to mean. And it seems
somebody
like
told him.
I'm
at least
looking
what
to
somebody
get
told him.
I'm looking to get a bunch of people out this country, and I don't think I'm not worried about the descendants of the enslaved people yet.
Right.
So that's just all I got. Of course, we'll follow up on this because we follow up with everything.
Absolutely. You may want to, however, after the show today, go out and celebrate with a pint of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, because those folks continue to lead with their actions. The founder of the Ben & Jerry's brand, Ben Cohen, got locked up this week for protesting at a Senate hearing that included I can't even say it without laughing. That included the leader of Health and Human Services, RFK Jr., who's leading that effort. But apparently Ben Cohen got snatched up and taken out for protesting. You know, Ben & Jerry's, and I'm not a big Ben & Jerry's like ice cream people, but I do have been following them for a while.
Fudge brownie, everyone. Try it. Change your life. Sorry.
No, listen, I may have to go and do that, because these folks are walking the walk. They're not just talking the talk. You know, they have been on record for many years fighting for equality, social justice, those sort of things. And I like it. I like it. And we should support people that have shown that they support us. And these are some, high level mayonnaise people, but they still down with us. Chunky monkey. See, yeah. That sounds like a racial slur. It sounds like that sounds like a fat joke. A fat racial slur is what it sounds like to me. But I digress.
I'm glad. Listen, y'all. If anything, we have a habit of making very serious subjects. We try to make them as funny as possible, and Curtis is on a roll today.
I don't know what happened. Maybe I didn't get enough sleep last night.
No, man. This is what you do. When you step outside of that very comforting, soulful Barry White, because there's times where we need you to keep us calm.
Absolutely.
Give us one of those, and then it's times where you just are a fool, and I love it. And this is what we do. So my question is for those of you who are watching this video, you see this gentleman. It's a Senate hearing. It's a Senate hearing. Now watch this guy. Look at this guy. This face right here says, I'm about to tear something up. He comes in. Why so harsh? Why can't we just what happened to us nicely look, gee, the man's 79 years old.
And they just yanked him.
You could have ripped his arm smooth out the socket. What? Look. So my question is, who trained you like this? That's training. That's training. Because as someone who would look to normally, especially, black cop.
He should watch it, because his job could be in jeopardy.
They know who they got. They know who's not. You got different DNA. Look at his face. Look at his face. Our hairlines don't grow like that. We lose all our joints. When you get that little point right there, you're not of us.
He's from the Uncle Ruckus tribe, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Listen, as long as you know what tribe they're from, and if he's from the Uncle Ruckus tribe, then I'm okay. As long as I know.
Y'all better understand, if everybody could just take a DNA test, we'd see, oh, that's where you from? Oh, you from one of them tribes. You look just So the point is, though, he was trained like this because normally you come in, hey, sir, we're going to ask you to leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, you come in forceful. Yeah. It's almost like you've been told, hey, rough people up.
Snatch them up. Well, that's what the president said, you know, during his first iteration as president. You know, you don't mind roughing them up when you put them in the back of the cop car, that sort of thing. But
and by the way, I'm gonna end on this because this is my biggest point about showing you guys this story is when did it become okay for you to be roughed up? He was escorted out in handcuffs for speaking out at a public Senate hearing. Yeah. When did that become okay?
On November the 5th of 2024, apparently, or maybe January 20th of 2025.
So that's the point, Curtis. You understand? Like, we want to show you these images so you can say to yourselves as you look back one day in history and see where you stood, what side you stood on, and that's not a party side. Mm-hmm. We can be independent of specific issues. Where did you stand on this one issue? You could definitely agree with 7, 8, 9, 10 other things. But where were you, Grandma? Where were you, Dad? When they started doing this, your grandchild talking to you, Grandma, where were you? What happened? When you guys you weren't alerted? Because we heard about the United States, we read about it. What were you doing when this was happening? So that's it. And we got something else to talk about concerning this same hearing. So, you know, another clown show. Curtis, why don't you tell the people about that? And, you know, we'll make this quick. But
yeah, this is quick because this is a new senator from the great state of Delaware, I believe. Senator Alsobrook was in, I guess it was the same hearing with JFK Jr. and she grilled him pretty well. Maybe you should just play the clip, a little bit of the clip there. But apparently he didn't know. Maybe he needs some brushing up on his own family tree. But RFK Jr. he's problematic. But let's listen to the clip.
We're in. I sent Curtis this clip yesterday, and after you guys hear it, I think you're gonna agree. We got a little trouble on our hands.
Healthcare, because
we got a little trouble on our hands concerning this.
You think?
I'm talking. I'm over here. I've been sitting through this hearing all day today, and have noted you've been unable, in most instances, to answer any specific questions relating to your agency.
Because I haven't been given time.
Well, no, you have been given time. You've been unable to answer specific questions. Sir, you are the wrong person for this job. And you had in this hearing today the unmitigated gall to say at the beginning of your testimony that China is ahead of the United States in healthcare because China does not have DEI.
Now pay very close attention to how he's going to respond to this. She said you had the unmitigated gall to say that China is ahead of us, the United States, because of DEI. Listen to his response.
I didn't say that.
Well, we can roll back the tape. You absolutely did say
that. I didn't say that.
That is absolutely what you said.
I was talking about science. I didn't say they're at, but they're at, but in some forms of science, certainly not in healthcare.
That's his response. Not the DEI thing. He said, I didn't say they were ahead of us in healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Very close. So he said China's ahead of us because of DEI. Crazy. Let's just wrap this up.
Can you name, sir, which office the Safe to Sleep campaign operates out of?
Which campaign?
Well, that's the one that the senator just asked you about 2 minutes ago that prevents babies from dying in their sleep. A 30-year program inside your agency. You would agree that it's important.
I think it's part of HRSA or ACF. It's ACF.
No, actually, it's in Health and Human Services.
Yeah.
And I think, and again,
no, they're all within Health and Human Services, but the subdivision is ACF.
No, actually, the name of the office.
Children and families.
No, let me tell you what it is. The National Institute of Child Health and Human Development. This is actually the one that your aunt, Eunice Kennedy Shriver, is the person who it's named after.
Was that the mic drop moment? Was that she's like, yeah, your aunt started it, remember? Okay. Get Black with me. I must agree that I'm still trying to understand why the sickest looking person in the country to head up healthcare. Now, I'm not trying to be unkind, but he looks like one of those things you might see in a zombie apocalypse.
You show up to the gym that you done paid the personal trainer come out bigger than you. And I don't want to talk because here you go, Curtis. I'm not even gonna I don't want one of your rotund tribe jokes. So I'm gonna save you. Bad. This is a show where I'm throwing out a couple bad analogies, but you understand. It makes perfect sense. This gentleman is not someone who we look at and say, that's a guy right there.
He should be heading.
To be making our health decisions.
He should be the one. That's the one.
Look at him.
He should be our healthcare head.
Listen to him.
Look how healthy he looks.
His throat like a permanent throat. You know, he needs one of the. I know he has these issues, but the point is, you know, competence wise, you don't know. This is why I sent Curtis in the group chat the message last night. I said, guys, we are in serious trouble concerning just healthcare. And I'm going to tell you why. This is my opinion. I'm going to tell you why this gentleman, if we have, or when we have another COVID type event, two things are going to happen. He's not going to know what to do. And this administration runs off of, they don't want the public scrutiny. So they don't want the public to know everything, which means we're not even going to know we have another COVID or we have another plague outbreak until it's in 8 states. And then it's already killing people, and we're not going to see it reported.
Right.
So the danger in having this man as Secretary of Health
and Human Services.
Health and Human Services is that's the guy. He's not just, you know, he's trying to look. Shout out to his, let's get Red 40 out. Let's get the dyes out our foods.
True.
Let's get the sugars out our breakfast cereals. Let's shout out to that.
Right.
But it takes more than that to be in that position.
Absolutely.
Because you're over the CDC, you're over the administration that Senator also Brooks said that is named after his aunt that he doesn't even know the name of. You're over everything, buddy. Everything concerning healthcare in this country runs through you. And when we have another plague, that's not a guy that is going to know what to do.
Yeah, he's probably not the one you want doing that, but he is. And so that's where we are at this point. Sadly, our time is pretty much gone here today. It seemed like we were having so much fun. The time sort of went by quickly. As always, we love our co-hosts jumping in and engaging with us. We got some new people jump in today. We invite you back next time. Certainly, we may not always agree, but we can certainly have intelligent conversations here, and that's what we kind of strive to do. Let you know what's going on in Black America and things that could potentially impact your life, even with
what are we talking? Hold on, Curtis. Let me get my stuff off.
Okay.
Why are we talking about President Biden?
I was going to ignore it because
No, we not. We don't. I want to ask you, Lib Slayer. Why are we talking about President Biden right now? You made 2 comments about we are talking about here and now today. You have no idea what our opinions were. My co-host called President Biden in the last 2 months of his presidency a lame duck president. Don't come over here assuming who you're talking to. We are very much independent. We try our best to be independent. We are reporting what is happening. Didn't you just hear me give the man props on what he's trying to do with getting dyes out? But don't come. If you're going to be on the show, we'd love for you to come back, as Curtis said. But you are not going to come here and talk to us and like we're not just reporting what's happening. And if you have a comment on what's happening concerning RFK, I'd love to hear your opinion on why the man who's the Secretary of Health and Human Services doesn't know a committee that keeps babies from dying that his his aunt started and it's named after. You could say, you know what, that's a slip. You know what, I like what he's doing, but that was a bad slip. You be objective. That's what we do here. We don't mind. You know, we got to Get Black with Me. She's not no serious. None of us here are like Democrat. Yo, the Democrats, where they at? We waiting on. That's not what we do here. So I just wanted to make that clear. Welcome, Lou Maldonado, Maha, trying to help blacks not be diabetic. How dare you? All right.
Okay.
What about? All right, Curtis. Wrap us up, because I don't think we're getting what we try to do is we try to get good conversation. That's what we try to do. And if those of you you're just coming here, when you watch some of our older episodes, the reason why we call the people in our where you're at our co-host is because it's conversational.
Right.
Which means you say something, we talk, we bounce back ideas. We say what we like, what we don't like, and it's great. This is not conversational. You're talking about a man that's no longer in office, and it doesn't matter because he's no longer in office. We're talking about a plague that might come, and can this guy handle it? Do you think if a COVID outbreak happened tomorrow, is that the man you think can handle it? That's my question to you. Same reason all we heard with Biden was Trump. Okay, you got it. Listen, you're in a cult. Let's wrap up. You can't talk to people in a cult. You cannot reason with people in a cult. Wrap it up.
Listen,
they're not Republicans. I could talk to Republicans. I could talk to moderates. Moderates, Republicans, all day long. You are welcome. We're going to have great conversation about this country, the president of this country, the future of this country. We cannot talk to cult members.
No, this is a troll. That's what this is.
No, it's a cult member. It's a cult member.
You can be both. You can be both.
That's right. Dang, you got two. You're a troll and a cult.
Listen,
God bless you.
We appreciate our audience. We do.
100%.
The audience that comes here with the right mind and the right spirit, we which is not necessarily in agreement with us, but as my co-host just pointed out, someone who's willing to have the conversation, and we are willing to have those conversations. Thanks for those that did check in with us. We always appreciate you. We'll be here again next Friday. Yeah, I got another week or so, but yep, we'll be here next Friday, and we'll do this again at noon. We invite you to join us. And again, check out our previous content on Hello Black America, the previous shows here, even that we've done on This Week in Black America, kind of give you a little bit of background about where we're coming from. We appreciate you. Hopefully you'll take the time to join us next week when we do it all again. Any final thoughts for you, my brother Deshaun? Great show today. Enjoyed the time.
Wonderful show. Thanks to everybody. You guys know we're here Fridays at noon Eastern time. We're going to catch up on everything that happened in, not just America, but globally, but in the world, and how it affects us here in as Black Americans. So that's why we call this Week in Black America, is because it's like BET. I'm sure some of y'all watch BET, Black Entertainment Television. It was entertainment, but from a Black perspective. So it took you into the world of being Black and how we see things and how these events affect us. So that's why I love it. And I love the way, I love what we created here and the dialogue we have. Again, like Curtis said, we don't need to agree with everyone. We know we're not going to agree with everyone. But what we have done, I think, a great job of is being able to dialogue with our co-hosts, catch up, and make sure we are very aware of every single thing happening that is major. And I think that's why people, we got our regular co-hosts. So thank you. Bring someone to the show next week. We'll continue to have these dialogues. And thank you, Curtis. Great show this week. We went a little long, but y'all know us by now, and y'all know that's to be expected. So we try to wrap up about 1:30. But if we got a lot to cover, we probably only did that once on time. So
listen, God bless y'all. Peace to you. Hope you have a great week. Join us again next week on This Week in Black America.